nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them, nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them, nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Yeah, you know I'm back like black tracksuit with a black top cap. People love to try, people love to lie. People forget stuff, remember that. We done them good, you remember that. We needed someone, here's the facts. But people love to try, people love to lie. Yeah, this is London, mind the gap. Living life just multitasking. Smile like a horror movie, I'm laughing. Motivated and focused, crafting. Dash something in a break, all your eggs in a basket. Can't handle it, why you asking? Can't handle it, why you asking? Can't handle it, why you asking? Please don't try it. Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them, nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them, nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Yeah, you know I'm right. Vibes are here when I am outside. Born for the flows to keep the flows tight. Tell me why they love to lie. Soul is dark but the mind is bright. Nocturnal, we live for the night. You wanna try but yeah, not quite. Monster with the bars, yeah, I might bite. If I have to, I tighten up the mic. See me, I don't do it for the likes. Keep it Air Max, yeah, like my knives. Ooh, I like to plan before I strike. But what do they know? Frequency's high, it never gets low. But yeah, what do they know? You're dripping in drama from head to toe. Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them, nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, told them, nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always?
Hello everyone, happy Saturday. Give me a 1 if you can hear me, please. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you had a great week. I didn't do a podcast yesterday because I was out and about. I went to a really cool place in Istanbul called Balat, which is this really kitsch, cute, colourful little section of town. So I was there for the whole day. And then I went to see the Barbie movie. Put a flower bow, shoe, dress, or just yes or Barbie in the chat if you have seen the Barbie movie or you're planning on seeing the Barbie movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10. And I can see why people like me loved it, but I can also see why the people who didn't like it didn't like it. The movie, and I'll actually give you like a very short snippet of a review that I wrote about it. The movie is deeply political. It is unapologetically political. It is punch you in the gut political. So do go into it expecting that because it doesn't apologize for its politics. And I have to say that when a trailer first came out, I was side-eyeing this movie because I just couldn't understand what it was about. Mind you, I hadn't done my research into the director, so I didn't really know what her director style was. And I think if I had known, I probably would have been a lot less critical. But I did see it. I did love it. And if you, I'll just read like my really short review for those of you who haven't seen it and maybe you're on the fence about seeing it or you're not sure. So I basically said that. So the movie is political, but being subtle can sometimes go over people's heads. Cinema is about escapism, but you can't escape where our culture is currently in regards to women's empowerment, the backlash towards it, and how quickly our freedoms can be taken, and the evolving social dynamics between men, women, and what it means to be both. The movie touched on all of those. It was almost like a very pink visual archetypes podcast, which is why I feel so strongly about this movie, because I feel like so many of the themes in the movie are things that we talk about all the time, especially when it comes to the perception of women, ambitious women, the perception of Meghan. Anyway, I also said that Barbie has been loved, hated, celebrated, and deplored for over 6 decades. She is simultaneously, to some, a feminist icon and also hated by some feminist critics. The movie addresses every complexity of her while also allowing Barbie to address those complexities herself. And it does this in a really clever way. Iconic women are often deeply scrutinized in a way that strips them of their humanity, and they often become objects, which Barbie as a doll literally is. But it's also fascinating in the movie how she metaphorically finds her own humanity. And Barbie reflects on herself. Her critics reflect on their perception of her, and it also forces her critics to look at their perception of themselves. And some people have also like criticized the movie of being man bashing. I didn't get that perception at all. I think it brings in the idea of patriarchy in a very clever way, and it Ken he, how do I say this without ruining the plot? He or let's just say that when faced with the idea of patriarchy, he leans on it, but then discovers its limitations. So great movie, great acting all around. I think it's going to hit about $1 billion at the box office, which is insane. So I hope my little review can give you an insight as to what it was about. Light side. So that's why the right was saying it's woke. Yeah, that is why the right was saying it's woke. But I think it's such a anti-intellectual, minimizing way of actually looking at the movie. Because, for example, like Ken, like the whole story plot that they gave, Ken and the whole idea of patriarchy, like I thought it was so clever. And actually, Ken ends up finding a part of himself that he didn't have before. Like it's really interesting the way that they approach the idea of masculinity and kind of the world that we are living in now. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. It missed. I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I did feel that some of the screenplay could have been brushed up a bit. I was like it was weak in some places. But yeah. Otherwise, I thought it was a very good movie. Oh, and the fashion. Oh my gosh. This gave us feminist critique and fashion all at the same time. I think the girly girl trend is back, and long may it reign. I'm definitely going to be wearing more pink. Okay. So sorry, folks. I was so excited about the Barbie movie that I kicked myself out of the podcast. I'm back. I am back. Okay, let's get into our usual royal stuff. Okay, so some oh, actually I did have one slide I forgot. Everybody is raving about the Barbie movie. Even our global tyrants. Putin, Trump, and Kim Jong-un all went to see it. Here they are in their famous Barbie garb. I swear, this AI stuff is getting so out of control. But the artist that did this, he also does some really awesome royal AI as well, and he's done some really nice ones of Meghan. Right, all jokes aside, although all three of those men are absolutely terrible. Onto the royal news. Right, Uplift, where Harry has a job. They sent an email around saying, good news, we have received so much positive feedback from the 1,000 plus HR leaders like you who joined us at Uplift 2023 that we decided to do it again, this time for April 10th to 11th, 2024 in San Francisco. So I'm assuming, like the last one, this will be for HR professionals. This will be a more of a marketing marketing towards HR people. So I don't really think it's going to be like for us, the ordinary folks. There's no word on whether or not Harry will be there, but I don't know. He was at the last one, so maybe he might be at this one as well. But it's very much for HR folks, I think. They did do another summit, which I think was a little bit more for the everyday person. I think we had, if I remember correctly, there was meditation stuff. There was all sorts of speakers, and hopefully we'll get more of that soon. But for now, this seems very kind of business focused. But it's great to see a company that Harry is affiliated with doing very, very well. Right, let's get your comments before we move it along. Good morning, good afternoon, or hello, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Sherry said, I'm going to see Barbie because of your recommendation. Yeah, I think it's a great movie, guys. But it is very punch in the gut political. But otherwise, I thought it was a very good movie. Yes, Dilly, I did that. If you Google Barbie or Margot or sexy Scorpio Ryan Gosling, yay, I'm a Scorpio too. Didn't know he was. The Google page sparkles with stars. Yes, it does sparkle with stars. I noticed that. Very clever. Janet, and they did not give the same energy to My Little Mermaid. Who do you mean they? Because if you're talking about the right wingers calling it woke, they definitely gave a lot of energy to the Little Mermaid. But nonetheless, the Little Mermaid still did amazing. I mean, I think it's probably racing towards $1 billion at the box office as well. They're even talking about doing a Polly Pocket movie. I don't know. I mean, Polly Pocket has never been as controversial as Barbie. So I don't know what I don't know, maybe an adventure movie? What are they going to do for Polly Pocket? Jesus. I loved Polly Pocket. Apparently, if you had like Polly Pockets from the early 90s and you never took them out of the box, they're probably worth good couple thousand at this point. Yeah, Sugar Plum. I'm glad we're kind of going back to like that hyper femininity look with fashion as well. I love it. It's definitely made it popular again. Thank you so much, Valerie. It's very kind of you. All right. On to the next thing. Right, I just want to touch on something non-royal related, but interesting nonetheless. So there is this British couple who is going viral. They're in their 60s. They voted for Brexit, and now they can't move to Italy to live in the house that they bought for their retirement because of post-Brexit travel rules. They're saying Greg Walter and Steph Appleton now feel betrayed. And their argument was that they were not told about the effects it would have on expats. Did you not do your research? Like, I think one of the reasons this story tickled me was because these are the type of people who read the Daily Mail, who read the Sun, and just believe everything. These are the type of people who hate Meghan because they just have a bad feeling about her, right? All based on things that they read in the tabloids. Now, what's even more interesting about all of this is that they're saying that they're going to wait for 2 years and then reapply. Apparently, the savings that they have, it does not meet the requirements, and also the passive income that they have does not meet the requirements for the visa, despite the fact that they have a property under Italian rules. So they're going to reapply in 2 years when they have their pensions. However, the British government have recently done some pension reforms in the UK. And one of the things that they've done is they've taken a percentage of pensions to the tune of 64 billions for funding into tech startups. This to me is incredibly risky because startups themselves are very risky. Most of them fail. I think something like 90% of startups fail within the first 2 years. Also, the conditions in the UK for business in comparison to some other countries aren't great. The high taxes, the bureaucracy, it doesn't make for great conditions to start a business in comparison to, say, even Dubai or even nearby Lisbon, countries like Georgia, who have almost no red tape in Georgia to start a business there. I know some people who are pretty much moving their lives there for tax purposes only, but they're never even going to live there. So it just this whole thing just shows the hypocrisy of some people, because they voted for Brexit because they essentially wanted, I guess, more control over UK borders, but they've gone to another country. And they're at a point in their lives where they could more than afford to buy a £13,000 little house in Italy. And there are some places in Italy where houses are going for extraordinarily cheap. And if you are a retiree and you don't want to live in a metropolitan area, perfect for you. So they're at a point in their life where they can splash that little bit of cash on a cheap little property, and they can live in a cheaper region off of their retirement fund. Younger people and middle-aged people aren't there yet, and they are going to suffer with the consequences of Brexit. So this is just wild to me. And I think we're going to see more stories like this. Playing the world's smallest violin because you got what you voted for. Boy. Lorna, you said they should do a Pippi Longstockings movie. Oh, I loved Pippi Longstockings as a kid. Good idea. All right, next thing. Now definitely onto the royal news. Meghan! Suits is now setting records for library shows on the streaming charts. Now, I'm not a big TV person, but can anybody tell me the last time anything like this happened? Where literally an old show suddenly becomes not just popular again, but as popular as this. The Meghan effect is truly still very much powerful. And a lot of people are watching it and going, wait, hang on a minute. Ain't that Harry's wife? Ain't that the Duchess of Sussex? And I love it because people are slowly discovering, who Meghan was, or at least the people who weren't Suits fans and who weren't the 3 million odd people, because there were a lot, 3 million odd people who weren't following her on Instagram, who weren't following her career, who weren't following the TIG before, are now beginning to discover how talented she is as an actress. And hopefully also some of the things that she was doing around the time that she was an actress. All the press for Suits, all of the things that she was doing business-wise, I hope that people are going to start rediscovering those things. And who knows? The fact that this has become so popular again. I mean, I don't know how Suits ended because I haven't watched the series, but there is now even possible talk that they could bring it back. And why not? Because people are obsessed with it again, and it found a whole new audience. That is phenomenal. And so, yet another L for the tabloid press and the royal institution who literally wanted to destroy this woman. Now, as we know, Harry will get to take a portion of his court case against the Sun forward, and that will go ahead next January. So we've got a while before we see Harry in court again, and I don't know whether or not he will come in person or not. But what's been interesting is how the press have been reporting on it. So we have the Times, which is a more Tory-leaning paper, who went with the headline, Prince Harry phone hack claim thrown out by judge. Whereas The Guardian went with High Court judge allows Harry to take publishers of The Sun to trial. So you can see the difference and, quite frankly, the lies of one paper. Because, okay, even The Guardian was slightly off in the headline anyway. They probably explain it in the details, but it's only part of the case. But nonetheless, it's going to go ahead in January. But it just shows this alternative reality that the tabloid press are creating for, I think, people who are desperate to see Harry and Meghan fail. I mean, I don't know what type of failing this is, but please, can I fail in life like this? They were meant to be irrelevant and nobody was going to be interested in them, and this, that, and the third. And here Meghan is breaking records without even trying again with her TV show. And here's Harry getting to take his court case forward. So how do you come up with the headline Prince Harry phone hack claim thrown out by judge when the other claim for illegal information gathering is very much going ahead? And unfortunately, people do tend to read the headlines and not the full article. Moving on from that, Omid, poor Omid. I hope Omid's okay. I hope Omid is getting the support he needs. I hope he has his friends and family around him, because he hasn't talked much about what he's probably going through behind the scenes. But I have no doubt, given the way that they have treated people in the past who have spoken against the institution and the press, given what bylines are being targeted with, he is likely being targeted very much as well. So he tweeted, "The fact that random trolls desperate for £50 appearance fees can go on air with made-up gossip plucked from their asses, yet a known presenter can be outed for alleged criminal acts, and it gets no mention on the same networks, is exactly what's wrong with our industry right now. Indeed." Then somebody responded to that saying, "Lol, you've tried to spin every evil deed lie, bullying by Meghan. You are exactly the same. You committed perjury." And then he responded to that saying, "Oh no, some deranged internet freak says I perjured myself. What am I ever going to do? Oh, that's right, not give a flying F, because your sad, obsessed, Aris mouth is only capable of expelling complete horse-ish. Now go do something useful with your life." Oh my goodness. Omid snapped.
Well, next question. See ya.
And I don't blame him. It must get exhausting day in, day out, being targeted by people who really don't want to seek the truth. I don't think they do. Because Omid has never been a friend to the Sussexes. He's just been a journalist. That's all. Thank you so much, Sylvia F, for the coffee. Much appreciated. Right. Yes, Wendy, the haters are watching Suits too. I mean, now we know that William and Kate were obsessed with Suits. My. Right, next thing. All right, let's get on with it, shall we? Damn, Wootton. Oh, it just gets worse and worse. Something tells me it's going to get even more worse, so deep breaths. So, on this part of the report by Byline, it claims that the Mail Online and The Sun hid serious Dan Wootton claims while attacking Hugh Edwards and the BBC. And I suspect now, given the timing of the whole Hugh Edwards saga, that is probably why the whole Hugh Edwards thing kicked off when it did, because the Dan Wootton thing was coming. But I just don't think it's a coincidence that you had this huge push across media regarding something that may or may not have happened with Hugh Edwards. And now Dan Wootton, while there is credible evidence that he was abusing people, 12 people abused and a bunch more, they can't all be lying. They cannot all be lying. And there's blanket silence. So why was there so much hoo-ha over Hugh Edwards and nothing so far, really, about Dan Wootton? At most, they have just reported on Dan Wootton's response to the allegations. Melissa, the Times is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, tell us how you really feel, Omid. And yeah, it's no surprise that the Mail on Sunday and The Sun were hiding allegations. Shock horror. They can truly go to hell with their so-called, we're doing an independent investigation, blah, blah, blah. It's all lies. Okay, let's read the article, shall we? In the fifth part, we're on part 5, folks, of our 3-year special investigation into the private and professional conduct of GB News star Dan Wootton, Byline Times can reveal how the Sun and the Mail Online have been protecting the star celebrity journalist. Mail Online knew of serious criminal allegations of a sexual nature about its columnist Dan Wootton in May, yet failed to report them to the police and continued to publish his work on 5 occasions, Byline Times can reveal. Wootton's former employer, The Sun, also failed to report the same detailed allegations to the police, despite knowing about them since at least the 7th of June 2023, a month before running a controversial front page about a BBC presenter lawfully paying for sexual images. The matter was reported to the publications by a former male adult entertainer whom Wootton employed to help him catfish men of sexual interest and secretly recorded them in their homes having sex. A further allegation was also made and is known by both newspapers, details of which we are unable to report at this time. The man told Byline Times the Mail said they couldn't touch the story as Wootton worked for them. They said it sounded like a very serious criminal matter and said I should go to the police, which I did. I also told The Sun about it and the fact that Wootton had paid one of my colleagues for work from their own accounts by pretending he was a source on a story about Amber Heard. They also told me to report it to the police, so I did that in June. Neither publication has since reported at all on the 3-year special investigation into the personal and professional conduct of Wootton that Byline Times started breaking 11 days ago. Yet The Sun did cover Wootton's denials in a 143-word piece on the 20th of July. News UK, its publisher, has since set up an internal inquiry, and Mail Online has unofficially paused Wootton's column. However, the failure of publishers, Associated Newspapers and News UK to act sooner is attracting strong criticism, given both took aim at the BBC regarding the same period, during the same period for its handling of the Hugh Edwards affair. The fact that Dan Wootton's employers and previous employers knew of allegations against him and did nothing for at least 6 weeks before Byline Times started reporting them means that the public interest here is not just on his alleged actions, but their actions too, as supposedly responsible publishers and employers. Paul Ragg, professor of media law at the University of Leeds, told this newspaper. Today, in the latest part of Byline Times' Me Too investigation into abuses of power into publishing and broadcasting, we can reveal how the ex-adult entertainer first contacted Mail Online on the 29th of May amid a mounting scandal about the former ITV This Morning presenter Philip Schofield and his lawful relationship with the younger man he worked with. In a subsequent email to Mail Online on the 31st of May, the man, who we are not naming for legal reasons, wrote, after Philip Schofield, the next one on This Morning who should be investigated is Dan Wootton. The presenter previously worked on the magazine show. I am an ex-P star and escort. I have worked for Dan on several occasions. The things he has asked me to do were illegal. He used to ask us to film others without their consent. He also used to pay myself and others to use our Facebook profiles and message who he wanted us to encounter with. How much for a story like this? I have more information on him. Wootton has denied any allegations of criminality. The complainant has since told Byline Times that his interactions with the now GB News star left him suicidal and living a chaotic life of self-medicating, drug use, and mental trauma. Communications with Mail Online continued until this Wednesday, the 26th of July, during which the man says he was told it could not consider reporting on Wootton because he was an employee of associated newspapers. After that, I went to the Sun and told them about Wootton and the Amber Heard stuff, evidence of which they obviously have on their own account system. After lots of calls, they just said it was for the police to deal with, not them. Mind you, police haven't been dealing with anything. Police are equally corrupt. Byline Times has verified the email and other communications with Mail Online and can confirm that at least 8 phone calls are made to and from the Sun news desk between the 7th of June and the 27th of July about Wootton, who last night was still presenting a primetime show on GB News. Absolutely disgusting. Okay, goes on to say the Hugh Edwards parallel. During this period, both Mail Online and The Sun broke stories about Hugh Edwards, who is no longer on air for the BBC and has been receiving help, according to his wife, with serious mental health issues. In a defense of its articles about Edwards, which have been heavily criticized, The Sun wrote in a comment piece on the 13th of July, a desperate couple approaching us with firm evidence that he was paying large sums to a young person with a spiraling addiction, and that the star had been sending sexual pictures. The police said nothing could be done, and despite a detailed complaint to the BBC, it did nothing either. So why aren't the BBC picking up on all these people's complaints about Dan Wootton? That's the question here. One person came forward with evidence, or the parents of this person came forward with evidence. Mind you, that the young person themselves has said that they don't want any type of action to go ahead. And BBC had it splashed everywhere. You couldn't escape it. So where is the same outrage, and there should be more about Dan Wootton? Okay, the article goes on a little bit longer, so I'm not going to read all of it. I'll just put the link in the in the comment section so you can read it in full. But I think that you get the idea. The hypocrisy, and why is Dan Wootton being protected so much? Who has Dan Wootton got under his thumb, in his pocket, under his ass, that he is being protected like this? You've never seen anything like it. It's actually wild. What does he have on people? To the point where this goes straight to the top of media and of the royals as well. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay. That's pretty much all I had to say for today. Thank you so much, folks, for coming along as usual. I very much appreciate your support. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe on your way out if you haven't already. And I'll just finish with your comments. Sugar Plum, you said there's so much activity on social media, even if most British media isn't reporting on the Dan Wootton allegations. Yes, that is true. That is true. And, you know, online media can often get more reach than mainstream media. I think the first Byline article, it's been seen millions of times, but even the allegations that Alex, Dan's ex, and also I think is it Dan Sutherland, who's also had dealings with Wootton, both their Twitter threads went super viral. I think one of them got like 17 million views or something like that. Phenomenal. So just keep sharing around the information, and at least it's going to be out there for a long time to come, for people who want to really know the truth and not just what the tabloids are feeding them. Yeah, Sonia, I think that this whole Wootton thing very much leads to the royals. Dilly, can you put a link in the chat for donations to Byline? Do you know what? I will put it in the I'll put it on the community tab. Sorry, it's just I don't have the page on hand at the moment. Or if anybody has the link, feel free to post it. But I will put it in the community tab, promise. Blacklight, you said when the monarchy fully does finally get exposed, it will be curtains. And was that meant to be no amount of PR will save it? Well, at the moment, it's not like the British public have gone marching through the streets to protest against anything, really. You had a small group of Republican protesters during the coronation, but it would appear that for a significant portion, mind you, not everyone, but a significant portion, the coronation did dazzle quite a few people, let's be honest. But I do think just as many people have also seen the other side, and they're questioning, why at the very least we are paying for this institution, even if they like the idea of royalty. Why, when so many people are suffering, are we putting so much of our money into this institution? And you know what? At the very least, I think that the monarchy should be removed from the public purse string. Let's have a look. All right. Dutch may not. UK still falls under European Convention of Human Rights till December, which they left. Oh yeah, that's actually a very good point. I think he's trying to evoke the European Convention of Human Rights. Yeah, okay. So I couldn't quite understand the dates in your comment, but what that Dutch me not was referring to is the European Convention of Human Rights. And I think I can actually. I don't think I have it on a slide, but let me just try and get it on my phone. Because that's actually a very good point in regards to Dan Wootton. Because I think one of the things that it protects is your right and respect to your private and family life. So Dan Wootton is basically trying to evoke the ECHR rights to say that they shouldn't be digging into his private life, right? Never mind that the Sussexes often get criticized for the same thing. Everybody has the right to private life, and only an idiot doesn't understand what privacy means. So he's trying to evoke ECHR rights, which is I think the European Convention of Human Rights, so that we don't dig into his alleged doings. The irony is that he attacked the ECHR, and not only have the likes of Dan Wootton, it's not just Dan Wootton, it's like the whole right-wing Tory press have been attacking the ECHR. But not only that, is that they are wrongly conflating the ECHR with the EU. And they have been weaponizing the immigration system to attack the ECHR. But the ECHR, it protects many, many things, like your respect to the respect of human rights, the right to life, the prohibition of torture, of slavery, of the right to liberty and security, the right to a fair trial, the right to punishment without law, freedom of thought, freedom of assembly, your right to marry, and of course the right to a private life. So it's not just immigration. And the other thing is that the ECHR is not an EU treaty. And membership of the EU does not formally require you to be part of the ECHR. It has nothing to do with the European Union at all. But they are now attacking it. And the ECHR has also, like, there's been a couple of cases over the years where they have actually stepped in and done some really good things for the UK. Like, for example, the thalidomide scandal. Like, they wanted to, the UK wanted to put a super injunction so that the press didn't have to talk about it. And the ECHR said no. So yeah, it's the hypocrisy of Dan for trying to evoke that, literally just to hide his abuses. And thank you for bringing that up, Dutch Minot, because that's a very good point. Melissa, you said the BBC has been run by Tories, and who owns the Tories? Rupert Murdoch. More recently, yes. Yeah, exactly, Lorna. The European Convention does not apply to someone who films people in secret and takes away their rights. Exactly. That exactly. Leslie, he's trying to use his New Zealand status. I strongly believe he's got skeletons in his closet in New Zealand. That wouldn't surprise me. Do you know what? It's interesting. I never even thought about that. What skeletons could he have over there as well? Pretty much anywhere this man has gone, there needs to be an investigation. And somebody mentioned it in the other podcast, but I hadn't heard about it at the time, that he also tried to bully Adele into giving an interview. And I didn't actually know this, that he had interviewed Adele's estranged father the same way he did with Meghan and her dad. Just truly a bully, weaponizing his position to bully people, specifically women. Absolutely shambles and a shame. Right, with that, I will absolutely now end the podcast. Thank you, everyone, as always, and I will see you tomorrow. Go to the Barbie movie. Ciao.
Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, tell them nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, tell them nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Yeah, you know I'm back like black tracksuit with a black top cap. People love to try, people love to lie. People forget stuff, remember that. We done them good, you remember that. We needed someone, here's the facts. But people love to try, people love to lie. Yeah, this is London, mind the gap. Living life just multitasking. Smile like a horror movie, I'm laughing. Motivated and focused, crafting. Dash something in a break, all your eggs in a basket. Can't handle it, why you asking? Can't handle it, why you asking? Can't handle it, why you asking? Please don't try it. Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, tell them nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, tell them nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick. But you're moving like some waste man. Trying to impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always? Yeah, you know I'm right. Vibes are here when I am outside. Born for the flows to keep the flows tight. Tell me why they love to lie. Soul is dark but the mind is bright. Nocturnal, we live for the night. You wanna try but yeah, not quite. Monster with the bars, yeah, I might bite. If I have to, I tighten up the mic. See me, I don't do it for the likes. Keep it Air Max, yeah, like my nights. Ooh, I like to plan before I strike. But what do they know? Frequency's high, it never gets low. But yeah, what do they know? You're dripping in drama from head to toe. Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, tell them nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick, but you're moving like some waste man. Tryna impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really, why do they always nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything, tell them nah, don't try it. Yeah, but you're moving like some sidekick, but you're moving like some waste man. Tryna impress me, won't like it. Be yourself, man, please don't try it. Really,